Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Daniel if you're new here, and in this video I'm going to be doing an update and a reflection on just sort of my first couple of weeks in medical school. So this week makes my third week in med school, and I took my first exam today. Well, it was interesting. Stay until the end of the video if you want to know how I did on that exam. But overall, this video is going to be on my first couple weeks in med school, what's been going well, what's not been going well, and just my overall thoughts on med school in general. So I realized I haven't posted a video in a couple of weeks now. Comment below, let me know what videos you guys want to see. I wanted to sort of get into a routine in med school first before I start to consistently post more videos. So starting from today, you're gonna get weekly videos from me. So just let me know down in the comments what videos you want to see. So in this video, I'm just gonna start by saying I feel really grateful to be here. I feel really thankful, honored. Just thinking back, to the journey, to how I started. For me, not thinking medical school was going to be possible to me to getting accepted to my dream medical school, actually starting med school in the middle of a global health crisis. I think a lot of things have been going wrong around the world. So I think it's an interesting time to reflect on a career in medicine and why I went into medicine, what it means to be a doctor, especially now as the world suffers from a global pandemic. Well, doctors are well respected in society, but now I think people are starting to really see the importance of having a healthcare team, having doctors, nurses, everyone on the healthcare team. So it's an interesting time, definitely, to be starting medical school. I spoke to my mom last week on the phone, and we're just chatting, talking about life and everything, and she called me Dr. Daniel, and I thought that was a really interesting moment. My mom has always jokingly called me Dr. Daniel, but I think hearing her call me Dr. Daniel again made this process feel a little more real. It was like, oh my god, I'm a student doctor. I'm in the process of actually becoming a physician. And I feel like part of me hasn't really come to feel the weight of being in medical school. During our orientation week, where we talked about professionalism and what it means to be a doctor, what kind of doctor we want to be, I started to reflect, and I think at that point it started to hit me a little bit. And maybe this is all still in my mind, but I feel like I still really haven't felt the full weight of being a doctor. It just really hasn't hit yet. I don't know what it's gonna feel like when it hits, but I just feel like there's still something missing. And maybe part of that is the fact that I'm taking classes in my room, literally. So because of the coronavirus, I'm still isolated in my room taking classes. So I guess there's something about the school spirit and actually being at my school that I guess will make it feel more real, and actually seeing patients as opposed to virtual patient experiences, seeing a patient over the internet versus having a real conversation with them one-on-one in person. I think this past week I definitely felt the weight a little bit more. Just the school got busier. Been starting to study quite a bit, hours and hours a day, which is something I haven't done in a minute because I took 2 gap years from high school where I did clinical research. So I really haven't studied and been in class for over 8 hours in a day in a really long time. So I think I'm still getting adjusted to that. But doing that this past week, especially studying for my exam, I started to feel oh man, I'm actually in med school. This is real. And then my white coat ceremony. So I had that 2 weeks ago, and it was mixed feelings there as well. I did my white coat ceremony in my room, in this room, on this desk. While it did feel a little bit disappointing to not be physically present at my university taking those classes, I still really enjoyed my white coat ceremony. So my white coat ceremony was all online, it was pre-recorded for the most part, and then at the end of it we said our medical school oath to serve patients and what we envision ourselves as future doctors to be. It was a beautiful oath that was written by some of our classmates. But it was all done virtually. And despite not being physically present with my classmates, I still think there was a lot that was amazing about it. Myself and my classmates were hyping ourselves up, we were having a good time via Zoom and Slack and group chat and all the messaging apps we use. And it was definitely a different experience, but one that I still really value. Thinking about it, this is not an experience everybody has. To be in the US, I'm pretty privileged at this point. Some folks are not able to currently go to school because of the pandemic, so they're isolated at home. But I have the opportunity to still be able to go to school, albeit virtually. So I'm still grateful for that, to be honest. One of my most reflective moments this past couple of weeks has been writing a letter to myself. So it's a tradition every year for incoming first year students to write a letter when they start school to their future selves. So 4 years from now when I graduate, I'll be able to read that letter and be like, oh wow, this is what I wrote about, how I'm feeling right now, what I want to accomplish as a medical student. And so definitely look forward to graduating and reading that letter to myself and being like, wow, like this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished, this is what I've failed at, this is what I've learned, this is how I've grown over 4 years. I think that's going to be an amazing experience. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what is going well for me, and then what's not going well. So in terms of what's going well, I think I've not been feeling super stressed. Some days I feel like that's a good thing, while other days I'm like, should I be feeling more stressed than I am? Because I guess I'm in med school and the expectation seems to be like, med students are like super stressed and like trying to figure out their lives. But I feel like I'm entering med school with this like super chill, like relaxed mindset. And part of that might be because I think I really have a good grasp of the things I want to prioritize in med school. And one of the upper class medical students was speaking to us the other day and they said, your routine in medical school should be a reflection of what you want your life going forward to look like. Your life in residency and training and as a physician. You want to start building habits that you're going to keep as you mature. So, there's certain things I've been like, okay, these are things that no matter what happens in med school, no matter how crazy med school gets, I still want to keep doing this thing. I still want to like take care of my health. I still want to check my family. I still want to, keep up with my fitness routine. I still want to do fun stuff and explore the city and hang out with friends. I don't want med school to consume my life, basically. So yeah, I don't know. I guess my relaxed attitude is a good thing, but I guess we'll see as time goes on. Another thing that's going well, I would say, is I'm absolutely loving my classmates. Like, I think I have the most collaborative classmates ever. And medical school is hard enough, and I really didn't want to go into this like cutthroat environment where everyone is not working together with each other, and people are trying to just get the highest grades. And like, at some med schools that's the case. I've actually found that that's quite the opposite of my school. People are like super willing to share the study guides with our class. People are willing to help each other out. So we have small breakout rooms, which are like discussion groups that we have over Zoom for our classes. And like people are always like willing to like explain things to you when you don't understand it. And if I understand something that someone really doesn't, I'm always like super down to like explain it. So I think there's this amazing collaborative environment that I'm super happy I have, because I think that, to be honest, I think that's probably contributing to the lack of stress that I have right now. So that's a good thing for sure. So this past couple of weeks, I've been trying to develop a routine, a study routine, just like a daily routine of what my schedule looked like in the morning. Like, am I waking up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. to study, or am I waking up later, like 9 a.m. and like staying up later at night to study? So it's something I've been trying to figure out. So I tend to be someone who like stays up pretty late in general. Sometimes I find it hard to sleep, to be honest. So it was kind of a struggle at first to wake up at 5 a.m., which was my initial goal. But I think I've found a healthy balance. So these days I've been waking up at like 7 a.m. to study, do a lot of readings in the morning before class, which starts at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. So I have like, 3 hours, 30 minutes to study. I find that I can actually like focus and put all my energy into studying in the morning when I wake up, as opposed to like later on in the day when I'm like kind of fatigued and just don't really want to study, and like, my study takes forever because I'm not really focused. So I definitely like studying in the morning and just like getting it done. So I know later in the day I have some time for myself to do whatever I want. I've been going to the gym like 5 times a week, and I go like every day after class. So usually around 5 p.m. when classes are done. So classes end around 3:30, 4 p.m. So I have 1 hour to myself before going to the gym. And then after the gym, I like pretty much have the rest of the day to myself. Like, I'm gonna do some additional studying, film a YouTube video, do some outside reading, talk to friends, talk to family, go grocery shopping, have an actual life. So I think I'm actually doing a decent job of finding a routine I want to stick with, but I guess I'll do a little bit more trial and error in the next few weeks and see what works for me. I'll let you guys know. So another thing I'm actually liking is that I think I've been learning a lot. I think there's a general concern about like how much can you really learn over online classes versus in-person classes. And to be honest, I don't think the online classes have been too bad. One thing I like about it for sure is the flexibility. You know, I can go to class like with my PJs on, just like put in a decent shirt so I look presentable in class, but like wear whatever I want. I don't have to like drive or like walk to class. Just pretty convenient in that way. I'm actually liking our style of learning in our school. So we use what we call the CBCL, which is the case-based collaborative learning style, where we're assigned readings before class. We do like 2 hours to 3 hours worth of prep on a particular topic before class, and then when we come to class, essentially what we're doing is like guided problem solving with our peers and like answering questions and working on challenging concepts together. I think so far that's really helping to like solidify the material I read beforehand. You know, doing the prep work beforehand makes me feel like I'm somewhat in control of my learning. I come to class feeling like I know at least a few things. Even though sometimes the readings can be like a lot of material, I feel like at least I know 1 or 2 things that I can come to class and be like, okay, yeah, I kind of know this thing, and you know, I'm gonna apply it to the best of my knowledge. And you know, the great thing is, even if you don't understand it super well, you have the opportunity to go after class, and there's a consolidation phase of our learning where after class you're supposed to answer some assessment questions just to make sure you understand the big general concepts. Like, I really like our side of learning so far. I think it's been great for me. So just talking a little bit more about building a routine, I've actually found that I've been able to go to the gym pretty often, and I've actually set new fitness goals for myself for the end of the month, for the end of the year. So it's pretty nice knowing that I can still incorporate fitness into my study schedule. So yeah, I definitely like that I've been able to check in with like friends and family, even though my family is in Nigeria. I called my brother, who actually started college at Howard University in the US. Spoke to my twin brother, who is done with college, studying mechanical engineering, and is trying to find a job now. And you know, it's just great like catching up with family. So now to talk a little bit about what's not going as well. The first thing would be social isolation. To be honest, I feel like it's hard to form really strong relationships with my peers and like my classmates over Zoom, just because it's different than an in-person social interaction, and we just don't get as much time to like hang out with each other and like form the strong connections. Another thing would be the Zoom fatigue. You know, staying on a Zoom call for like 4 hours at a time can make you feel super worn out. So I've been trying different strategies. Like, so during my lunch break, I try to take a walk around my apartment, you know, just to get out, get some fresh air, do something different, get out of the monotony of just like staring at a computer screen all day, which can be pretty tiring. So I think that's been helpful so far. And you know, in terms of my studying, I've been sort of testing new strategies. You know, in college I studied very differently than I am actually studying now. In college I did a lot of reading and rereading and taking notes, and you know, reading my notes and taking smaller notes on paper. And to be honest, I don't think that was a very efficient way of studying. I lost a lot of my notes, to be honest. I really don't have any of my notes from college, because it was just a pain to like physically keep up with all the notes. Like, if you wanted to find something on a particular page, you have to like go look for where that particular note is. You're gonna go open that particular page and like find a particular note you wrote. It's just like a lot of work, especially when you can do everything on the computer. So now what I'm doing is organizing my notes with an app called Notion. So I use Notion to like organize all my notes in terms of the major class topics we're doing. Why I like Notion is that it has really changed my study method from like blindly taking notes to really like thinking about the material. So what I do in Notion is that I write out specific questions I want to ask myself, and I'm actually using this method of learning called active recall that has been scientifically proven to actually like improve your learning and improve retention. So like asking yourself questions, retrieving the information from memory as opposed to like reading and rereading notes. So that's what I do. I just like make questions for myself, and it helps that my school actually provides you with questions for the reading. So I just like use those questions and sometimes incorporate my own questions, and my notes are basically like answers to those questions. And another thing I've been trying out is Anki. So Anki, if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically a flashcard app that uses this idea of spaced repetition and active recall. The material is presented to you at different time intervals. It's supposed to actually improve your long-term retention of the material. So I've been trying out those two different techniques, Notion and Anki, and seeing what works best for me. I know I definitely don't want to be taking extensive notes because that's a pain. I don't think that's super helpful. If you guys have any study tips or study techniques that have worked for you in the past, just like let me know down in the comments below. Now I'll talk a little bit about how I actually study for the exam. So this exam I took today, this morning. I studied using Notion. So basically how I studied was, asking myself a bunch of questions and trying to recall that answer from my memory. If I couldn't recall the answer, I'd go back to my lecture notes, read the material, go to a video, rewatch the video just to have different modes of learning, and then come back, try to answer the question again. So while I definitely like that style of learning, I think after this exam, I'm definitely going to try to use Anki more. I think what I was lacking for this exam was, while I understood the general concepts, I've not been focusing on the details as much. So I'm trying to learn some of those details as well, because the details are quite important for you to really get a nuanced understanding of the material. So I'm going to be using Anki over the next few weeks to really hone down on the details and try to learn more material. So we'll see how it goes. I'll update you guys when I take my next exam, which is going to be in about a month. So yeah, I know you guys have been wondering how I did in my first exam. I passed. I'm excited. I definitely did not do as well as I was hoping I wanted to do. Maybe that's just because I'm a perfectionist and I always want to be perfect in everything. I think I realized I need to approach med school with a different mindset. I don't need to get 100% on all my exams. As long as I'm passing, doing decently well, and having a solid grasp of the material, I think I'm doing fine. So I'm not going to be worried too much about grades, but I definitely want to try to retain more of the material. So I'm going to be using Anki. If you guys have any questions for me, ask me down in the comments below. It's been an amazing first 3 weeks of medical school. I'm super grateful to be here. Super excited for the next few weeks and the next few months and the next few years. So I hope you follow me in my journey, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.